Hello, welcome to a very special episode of the No Strings Attached podcast. I'm Tristan, this is Mark, and in today's episode, we're going to have a let's get to know Mr. Heathorn, the main man from MH900 Coaching. So, Mark, how do you feel about this?
Well,
Yeah?
fine. I can talk about myself, I suppose,
Yeah?
but depends on what you want to question, what your questions are. He told me he's got a few questions. He hasn't told me what the questions are. Let's see. Let's talk about coaching.
Freestyle it, shall we?
Yeah.
We'll freestyle it. So, on your lovely banner here,
Yeah.
we're looking at tailored coaching for bowlers aged 13 and over. Why? Why 13 and over?
Because generally speaking, that's when most kids have gone through puberty and are into more physical development and also intellectual and emotional development, and probably have been bowling a little bit a couple of years or 3 years. And level ones and level two coaches are probably more suited, or I can't coach everyone. So I made a decision that I would just focus on people who are, of a certain age and maybe have bowled a little bit already, rather than just starting from pure scratch all the time. Because there's plenty of coaches out there, and a lot of stuff could be learned in their youth bowling program. So when I'm working one-to-one with players, I'd rather work with players that are more physically able to do things. Also, when parents are paying money for lessons, I don't feel like them paying me, hundreds of hours when their kid's 8 years old, and it'll be all right when they grow. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to work like that. So that's where I've sat it, and that's what it is.
After 2 years of coaching MH900 YBC, I'm starting to understand why that's a thing.
Yeah, you have to play the long game.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, you touched on it a little bit there. The level ones and level twos can do this. So you're a level 3 EBF coach.
Yeah.
How long have you been an EBF level 3 coach?
So I did my level 3 in Finland in 2015, a place called Kortena, however you say it, in Finland, with about another 20 people at the time. I think it was 15, 20 people. 6 days of my mentor Juha Meyer getting at me, and brilliant 6 days. 6 of the longest days of my life as well.
Yeah, I cannot wait for my
great
level
time.
3.
Yeah, but very fortunate to do it.
So you've been a level 3 coach for the last 10 years, and you're obviously incredibly influential in terms of training the next generation of coaches by delivering EBF level 1 and level 2 courses. In that 10 years, how has the game evolved?
Whoa, now there's a good question.
Full of them, mate. Full of them. Got all the good questions.
In two main ways, I would suggest, is two-handed and purple urethane. So I don't know if you'd call it you'd call it evolution in terms of technique for sure. So of course, two-handed's been around for 20 odd years now. So but predominantly the last decade has seen the biggest improvement, or maybe that's the wrong word. Yeah, if we go back 10 years, so when I started delivering level 1 courses in England in 2015, there was no two-handed training in the level 1 course, and there was only, 4 or 5 slides, if that, in the level 2 material teaching two-handed. Fast forward to today, and fast forward to the latest level 1 presentation, which is being worked on as we speak, so to speak, and hopefully will launch officially quite soon. And I've test driven it in a couple of level 1 courses. The two-handed material is being taught alongside the level 1, thumb in material. So we're now treating the two techniques as equal, effectively. It's a discussion: do we make two-handed the more dominant topic? But I feel we've settled at the right place to make it an equal either-or scenario. The emphasis on both. So, in terms of technique, that shift has happened.
Yeah.
Players were doing it. Coaches weren't necessarily getting the education 10 years ago as much as they would require. As I worked through those sort of 2016, 17, 18, it became very, very apparent that people were crying out for two-handed material. So I was able to put it into my courses late 2018, 2019, just as a bit of a sort of standalone add-on, because the coaches in England were crying out for it. And then very shortly after it went into the level 1 material. So the last 5 years, it's been maybe 5-6 years, been officially in the level 1 material. So that means that coaches are being taught the fundamentals of the two-handed game and have been doing so for the last 5 or 6 years. So they're catching up. That means that they have more understanding, more knowledge than there was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So in terms of technique, that's changed and helping. And so we're seeing a bit of a ripple effect now, I believe, where people are more confident, more understanding. You know, you go back 10 years ago, people were aware of two-handed, but had no real understanding of what to do or how to do it, and interpretation was made and guesses were made, I suppose, and and people were fearful. You know, I've heard many a coach in the past, going back 10 years, maybe even going back 15 years. I'm sure there were quite a few of these instances where coaches were telling players, no, you can't do that. And I think a lot of the time that was because they didn't know what to do and they had their own opinion. If you don't know what to do, you can't say something, yeah, go on, give that a go. Yeah. Because you're making yourself either look stupid or redundant, or, you might not, you're fearful, and if you're doing it for the right reasons because you want to protect them, you don't want to hurt them, injure them, then you're just going to say, well, no, I can't teach you. So you're going to tell them, actually, no, you don't want to do that. So now we're in a much better place where a lot more coaches have some understanding. We need to do a lot more, I think, as the EBF and also within England, we need to do a bit more on helping coaches, because actually in the initial 3 or 4, maybe even 5 years, probably 3 or 4 years actually, of delivering level 1s in this country, as I said, people weren't taught any two-handed material. So there are some coaches that have, if they haven't progressed to level 2 now, then they still don't necessarily have had any training on two-handed. So that's something we need to address. But
and if I remember rightly, you've run specific two-handed courses for coaches.
I've done a handful of them over the years. Yeah, just
two hands. Any plans to do any more?
Possibly. Yeah.
Because I'd imagine if quite a few of our viewership, shall I say, are coaches and have attended the courses that you've put on to get them to where they are. So. Yeah. Let us know in the comments. Are you interested in a dedicated two-handed coaching course? Like, how do I actually coach this?
There's. I don't think I'm overstepping the mark here, but in discussions with Stevie Thornton, who's BTBA head coach, we've done some work to help YBCs in England, youth bowling clubs in England, and help them and guide their coaches through the initial period of people joining their clubs. So sort of from 0 hours to 24 hours, we've sort of worked it out as. But
that's over the first 12 weeks, essentially.
It's sort of, first 12 weeks, first 24 weeks, something like that.
And that was recently published on the BTBA website as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the first 12 hours has gone out there along with a couple of other documents. That's on the BTBA website, as you say. We're trying to work out really how best to deliver that, but also to try and get some more understanding for our coaches on two-handed. So be that a refresh course on two-handed, but also one-handed technique. We're looking at both techniques, and hopefully we'll be able to sort something out, in the next few months. It's not a quick fix because both of us have busy working lives, so we have to sort of figure these things out as we go along. But the idea is to try and help our coaches as much as we can, and yeah, we're just working out what's the best way of doing that.
Nice. So you've had the pleasure of working with a number of national teams, obviously England, South Africa, Iceland.
Yeah.
Are there any more that I've missed out there?
No? That is it.
Yeah. Obviously a loyal England supporter.
Oh, very much so.
Maybe got you in trouble once or twice.
Hey?
Maybe got you in trouble once or twice, hasn't it?
Well, I am England through and through.
Championship match, we're staying.
It's my country.
Exactly.
You might be paying my bills, but
Yeah.
this is my country, and we're not in this anymore. So unfortunately, anyway, England.
So how would you consider, like obviously, working with the South African national team, English national team, and Icelandic national team? How do those three areas, being quite geographically different, how have they compared in terms of the culture in the sport of bowling, attitude to learn, and kind of the take up on the EBF, what we consider EBF modern techniques?
There's quite a few questions there.
Let's start with bowling culture. How does it differ in Iceland, South Africa compared to England?
Temperature-wise, quite a lot. The weather in South Africa is much nicer than England, which is a bit nicer, if you like warmth, than Iceland.
Yeah. Let's talk specifically about the attitude towards the sport.
Yeah, I think the attitude towards the sport is equal, really. I think every nation I've ever visited, even if it's not as I've gone and done coaches in different countries as well. I think the attitude towards our sport is the same everywhere. Everyone loves bowling, and everyone loves to learn. I think the reasons for learning are different, maybe. Being a bit starved of education, of bowling, of numbers for a little while. So I went there 2-3 years ago now. Can't really remember. 2023.
It was around there.
I think it was 2023, yeah.
You were with them at EMC for...
And yes, I was there for, European. So I went out for about a very short trip, about 8 days. We did a level 1 course. And I was told there was going to be about 14 or 15 people in the room, and I turned in about 22 of them. So that was entertaining. But they all sat there waiting for me. My flight had been delayed very slightly, and I was straight off the plane, got showered and changed, and then went straight to the bowl that morning and just was welcomed by these lovely, lovely people. Just sat there wanting to learn. And that was the experience I had for the next few days. They just wanted to learn. They wanted to get as much information as possible. Yeah. And it was a brilliant trip because it was done alongside an African Development Championships. So the president of South Africa Federation, a lady called Kylie Cassell, can't speak highly enough of her, by the way. She had organised, along with other people, a development championship. So not their best players necessarily. I'm going to forget a nation or two, I'm sure, but it was South Africa, Mauritius, Nigeria, to get players who were competing or starting to be competitive and wanting to be, competitive and play tournaments to turn up and experience what it might be like to go to fully fledged championships. And it was a mini version of that. Yeah. And it was brilliant. We had 2 days of training of these players. So it was about 50 players, I think it was. And so I used that opportunity to get the people who are on the level 1 course to come and help and experience and put into practice what they learned on the course 2 or 3 days beforehand, and go and work with these 40, 50 players.
That's a great
idea. I tell you what, it was one of the greatest moments I've had in my coaching career. How we'd set it up was I was on an end pair, like 1 and 2, and each nation they'd send me a group of sort of 6 or 8 players at a time that I would sort of work with for, half an hour, 45 minutes at a time, whatever it was, maybe an hour.
Nice.
And that would rotate. But while that was going on, the other coaches were working with the players on the rest of the centre. And I had a moment to breathe at one point for about 5 seconds, where I just looked down the lane and I just heard and saw this noise, this chatter, and these people bowling and learning. And it was, honestly, it's one of the greatest things I've ever experienced in bowling, because there was these people just wanting to learn and these people wanting to teach. Oh, it was beautiful.
How do you think that attitude that you saw in South Africa compares to the attitude towards getting coaching in England?
I've not seen that in England, but because we've been fortunate enough. It's been, coaching has always really existed, at least for last 20, 30 years. So it's almost it's normal, and there's always been coaches, whether that was the old phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 BTBA coaching that, effectively never got updated, so which is why we had to move on. But there's always been coaches around, so I suppose it's much more normal for us. South Africa, what I experienced in South Africa was a country that was almost starting again. They had very few, if any, junior players at that time, and so part of the plan was, and continues to be, to develop their youth and their future. And they're starting to see some players already start to come through. So they now have some junior players. So that was much more of a excitement, and even just the whole area of Africa is they want their places in generally effectively very, very warm places. They want to go and walk in a bowling alley. So it's brilliant.
I can imagine that it would be like Dunstable at the youth in the counties where it's 3,000 degrees.
Yeah, it's very much like that. But they do have aircon.
Nice.
So, but yeah, so you compare that to England. We're long established. Bowling's been part of England for a long time. South Africa have had 1 or 2 very internationally famous and successful players.
Some bowling heritage there in a sense. Nice.
So, and the people I met there, fantastic, lovely. I've kept in touch with a few of them.
Brilliant.
We sometimes talk every week. So, there's some lovely people out there. I loved it. Compare that to Iceland. Very different, because basically they have one bowling centre. They have one commercial bowling centre which has got 22 lanes in it, and they have a little 3-lane centre about an hour away from Reykjavik, where the other centre is. So they have 25 lanes at the moment.
For a whole nation?
For all of their bowlers.
Wow.
I think they have maybe 400 bowlers, 300, 400 bowlers.
So if you're in Iceland, book your practice slot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They have restricted times. They can't just turn up when they want. The commercial centre, is effectively fully booked all day long. So they have very limited times. They work differently from our system. They have clubs that are attached to sports clubs, basically, and so each club works, does their thing, and they have their own particular times. Like a Monday night is this club, and Tuesday night is this club, etc., etc. And then they have their national league, which is their clubs playing. They can put in 2 or 3 teams. They have divisions, and they play their matches. So our league system is turn up on Monday for the doubles and Tuesday for the trios. Their national league is their clubs playing one another, and they have national championships and everything else. So they're established. They're a very small nation, as is probably obvious, but they want to learn. They love bowling as well. They're very, very keen to succeed. We've talked about it on the Triple Crown. They've got some young players coming through.
Especially the boys. Dominant.
You got Arne Jonsson, Arne David Jonsson doing his thing and living in Sweden and competing on the PBA.
Sponsored by Storm.
Yeah, so they're doing, for a small nation, they're certainly punching hard.
Good.
They want to learn. I've done a level 1, a couple of level 1s out there, level 2. So, yeah.
Doing well.
Great. Yeah, really very fortunate to have done all of those things and work with all those people.
And obviously, we would consider you to be a successful coach, especially at national level. International level. Well, you've got a few pieces of, few bits of gold, haven't you?
There's a few bits of metal on my
Got a nice
sideboard,
collection.
but yeah.
So let's talk about that then. Obviously, you've worked with the
Memories.
England. You've worked at England's men's team at Championship at EMC.
At EMC.
Yeah, you've worked with the youth teams, youth squads for the boys and the girls at multiple EYCs now.
Yep.
And you've also done EMC with South Africa. Have you worked with any of the Icelandic team? You did EYC in Iceland.
Where we won their 5th ever medal.
5th ever medal. So out of all of that, a lot of international experience, working with national teams, great players, and being successful at tournaments. Give us one of those memories from that event where you were like, this is going to stay with me for the rest of my life as a favourite, because you've got the likes of
Matty Clayton winning gold.
And was there the singles?
Singles.
Yeah, singles
in Germany.
gold in Germany.
Beating a German in Germany.
Yeah, and then you've also got obviously the youth. So Matty Clayton's performance was
that. I mean,
let's talk about that. Just tell us in your own words, why was that so special?
Why was that so special? That was. I think it was because of the decisions that were made, the process to get to there. It was the first event. It was singles, first event of the championships. After 2, can't remember exactly he scored. After a couple of games, he was not, he was maybe 20, 30 under or something. Can't really remember the detail. Other than we made a ball choice and a move in game 3. And he just went mad and had 780 or something up the back 3 to qualify effectively, as it turned out. And then I can't remember the semi-final. Just gone. Yeah. But then the final, it just felt just sort of knew he was going to win. Mm-hmm. Just had this feel, and you've just I felt really calm, and I always think it's really important as a coach to not to be very calm. I mean, in your head, you're not always very calm. However, you've got to show calmness, and you're in control, and you're not worried by anything. Equally, you're only showing excitement when it's necessary. I believe that. You think your player needs to see that, and I just felt like it was going to happen, and he was going to play his 10th frame, and I just saw him rushing. I just felt he was going to rush, and I just sort of walked up to him about 10 paces, I think it was, because it's a big area in Munich Bowl. Yeah. It's a big players' area, and I sort of had to I just went up to him. I can't really remember what I said, but I just said something nonsense, just because I wanted to get him out of his routine. Mm-hmm. I wanted to get him out of his thinking. I don't know if he remembers this, but I just said something to him where he had to sort of reset, and then he went out and we won the gold, and then the guys just piled on top of him.
You watch the video every year and it pops up when Matty shares.
It was just brilliant. It was just brilliant. A brilliant bunch of guys. It was.
Who else was that there? It was Matty Clayton, Lee Cocker.
Matty Clayton, Lee Cocker, Glenn Bailey, Jason Agate, Adam Cairns, and Dapper Penn. Just fantastic. Just brilliant. I was gutted for all the others that we didn't do anything else. We didn't get anywhere. The team was close. The team was really close. Day 2 game, second game, we won the game on the lanes with the Swedes, and overnight I think we were about 6th or something. We were there, we were in shouting distance.
In the mix, yeah.
And we had something like 1080, I think, which is a good game, and it was not a massively high-scoring event. But the Swedes had 1140 on the same pair, so they went past us, and then we just sort of, I think that must have been game 5. Anyway, we went on to, and the way the lane draw worked out, we followed for our 3rd game of each block, because we played 3 games one day and 3 games the other day. Both days we followed the Scots and the Italians for our final game of the day, and both days the lanes were a bit trashed, and we ended up with 928 the last game, and we missed out by 72. So we simply needed a 1,000, and I felt I was gutted, absolutely gutted for them, because they deserved the medal, and you can't say it's a regret. It's just one of those things that I just wish had happened for those guys.
Yeah, nice.
Because I think they were just. It was just brilliant. There were, 1 or 2 things that happened, 1 or 2 little negative things off the lanes that people who were there know about, but it's not going to bring that into the public arena. But there were 1 or 2 other things that were just things that again showed the class of the people that were there. Have a huge respect for all of those guys, but one in particular for the way he behaved. Given what was going on in his life at the time, and I just wish that if we could change it. I personally would have swapped that gold medal of Matty for bronze medal for a team medal. I would swap that. But
nice.
So that trip sits out. But I've been lucky enough to go on loads, and.
I mean, you're one of the UK, if not the only full-time professional coach in the UK, yeah?
I think so, but I don't know. Yeah. There's
Why?
others who
Why'd you do it?
I love it. I love developing people. So whether that's a bowler, whether that's a coach, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I mean, people have asked me this before. I'm not really sure which is better, because the bowler is the person clearly who's going to go out there and knock the pins over, and they're the ones who are achieving whatever they achieve. However, when you're coaching or teaching people to be a coach, the influence that they can have on the sport could be massive, because they're going to work with tens or hundreds maybe of bowlers. So the impact you potentially have on coaches can be huge. So it's a huge responsibility, but I love it. I nearly swore. I love it, and I want to. It's what drives me on.
And who are you enjoying working with as an athlete now?
If I say one person, I'm going to leave others out. So I'm not going to say that. I enjoy working with everyone for different reasons, but as you go through. You obviously end up working with some more than others, and some may progress more than others. So you might have a bit more of an emotional attachment, because you then maybe have a bit more. They might play at higher levels, or they might just achieve a little bit more. So you sort of get sucked into those achievements and want to push them on. Whereas others who are not necessarily going to go the same heights, but want to get better, want to be a 190 bowler instead of a 180 bowler. That's still satisfying to see. It's not all about just producing world-class athletes.
Exactly.
It's about improving people to their own height, really.
Like that. So here's a big question that I've been saving. Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Well, none of those were big ones.
No, this was
Okay.
big, right? We have a lot of coaches in the UK that we're on the BTBO phase 1, phase 2 kind of, mindset and ethos. Then as kind of the game has evolved, we've gone more into EBF. And there seems to be some very different opinions over what's right, what's wrong. I've found that if you ask 10 bowlers how to achieve the same thing, you'll get 10 different answers, but all will ultimately deliver the same result, which is this, everybody shoots a 10 pin their own way, It might be, the general concept of it may be the same, but how they achieve it is going to be different, and their opinion is going to be different, okay? Why? The main methods of teaching I know is USBC, BTBO phase, and EBF. Mm-hmm. I'd say the main two
main
EBF,
ones that
the main ones
that
have affected our country. Okay, why do we believe EBF is the way forward? Because I think a lot of coaches out there who maybe have some coaching knowledge maybe don't understand why there's a need for EBF.
Okay, you did save the biggie for last, didn't you?
Because I believe in it, you believe in it, and this is how, as coaches, we're aiming to deliver material to players in order to teach them how to bowl. Why was EBF needed?
Okay, right, so a bit of a history lesson first, I suppose, and then a decision, try to not justify, but explain why decisions were made. So in England, we had something called the phase, as you said, we've had something called the phase programme, which was phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and there was a phase 4, but that was to sort of turn up and talk about bowling for a day. Basically, that was written in the 1970s and was never really updated. So in 2013...
So 55 years ago.
55 years ago that was written.
the
and
phase material.
Basically never updated.
I didn't actually know that. I didn't think it was that old.
I think it was 1972.
So when I describe it as classic style, it's almost ancient.
Yeah. So this might be a long answer.
Well, I think we've got the answer. It's 55 years out of date. Anyway, carry on.
Clearly, the game, just to reiterate what I'd said before, even when we launched EBF in 2013 in this country, there was no two-handed in it.
It's been updated 3 times since then.
Yeah, so the fact that
since
1972 or even just 1970s, the game of bowling has moved on from wooden lanes with flammable liquid and oils into water-based oils, into synthetic lanes and synthetic oils and cleaners and automatic machines, and then we look at bowling balls, where bowling balls come from and gone through. They've gone from rubber, rubber, plastic, urethanes, then reactive resins, and back to urethanes, and blah blah blah. The whole game has changed, and because of the environment, the physical game or the technique has developed, whereby rev rate and speed has become more necessary as well as important over this long period of time. So the way the game was taught through our phase system, it in essence either would mean that the player would probably wouldn't teach them to create enough rev rate or enough speed, or it would mean that the methods would, because of the timing, because of the length of the swing, would quite possibly injure players. So the EBF method is based in gravity-led swing. Everyone's talked about forever pendulum swing, but no one up until, for me certainly, and I've done phase training, USBC training, has ever exactly explained, well, how do you create that? So EBF methodology explains very, very simply, very, very clearly, and is very, very precise on how you create a gravity-led swing. When you create a gravity-led swing, you are going to minimize or even reduce the risk of injury for players who want to develop speed when you have your thumb in the ball. Yeah. So the reason we chose EBF was
and when you say we,
so the
BTBA chose EBF in 2013.
In 2013, they asked me, for whatever reason, I have a history of training and being a coach, training and work. So I believe that was why they approached me at the time.
Sure.
The brief was, can you revamp coaching? Sort out the coaching program, rewrite it, do whatever's required. So the idea of rewriting something from scratch when, I don't, and well, certainly not back then, didn't have enough information within my head to do that project. Even though I can build training programs and stuff like that, having all the knowledge and being confident that how I would teach it would be correct or not, I didn't have. So I went talking. I'd done USBC training myself, and as much as I thought it was a brilliant thing to do, I got to, I did a silver level course after doing bronze in level 1, level 2. Level 2 doesn't exist now, but I never felt, even after those courses that were, the silver level course was great. I really enjoyed it. It was brilliant fun to do. I never felt I actually knew how to teach someone properly. I knew how to diagnose them. I knew if we do this, then that happens. If they do this, that happens. But I didn't actually know what to do. Anyway, it never sat quite right. Anyway, so I talked to EBF and tell me about your program. And basically, as soon as I started talking to them, it was pretty obvious that this is what we needed to pursue. So Terry Searle, God rest his soul, lovely man. He was director of sport, and me and him went to America to the World Coaching Conference in 2013, must have been, to meet with EBF representatives, UHA and ONDA, to talk about us as the BTBA taking on, and that's basically where we are. We decided to do that, and so part of that deal was I would go out to Finland and get trained to deliver level 1 initially, and I sat down with UHA, and within 45 minutes I said to him, I know how to teach now. Because he explained it in such a way, in such a short space of time. We'll do this, this happens, you do that, you do this, and you do that. Then that happens, and that happens, and that happens. I was like, right, this is what we need. And when people just look at the process of everything, and if you understand it, and you teach it in a good way, it will create the best one-handed technique. Having a free swing and having the timing that EBF talk about and promote is the key to it all. And then that allows you to develop a modern release. If you have a muscled swing with your thumb in the ball, if you're hinging the swing or muscling the swing, you have to put tension within the ball. Your hand and your thumb will have to, and you have to release. We call it a release because that's promoting the fact that we've actually gripped it in the first place. In order to,
we talk more about clearing the thumb now, don't we?
Yeah. The ball needs to leave the hand, and it's a wrist motion. It's not. If we started from scratch now, would we call it a release? Maybe not. No. Because we're not really releasing the ball, but it's a wrist motion. So, that's one-handed technique. And so anyway, why, to answer your question, is that's why we teach it, because we decided that it was the best program, and I'm so glad we did it. It is
very much yourself, Terry Searle. Was anybody else at the BTBA in 2013 involved in that decision?
No one. Andy Penny was in the discussion because he'd gone independently to the room, to the coaches' conference. So we sort of consulted with Andy as well, given his wealth of experience.
Yeah, Andy's USBC Gold and level 3 EBF.
Exactly. He was USBC Gold, still is. He's also EBF level 3 as well. Second one. in the UK. It's just
We
a
love
little
you,
joke.
Andy.
Just a little joke between me and him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, we discussed it, at length, really, the three of us, and had a good discussion. And him knowing USBC as he did, and everything else he's done in the game, he gave a very, he was very much of the opinion as well. So
Andy agreed that ABF was probably the standard that we should adopt.
That was the way we should proceed.
Awesome.
And 10 years, 12 years later, here we are.
Yeah.
I've done, don't know how many courses, but I've coached over 350 level 1s. I think it's about 50 something level 2s now. So
all well and good. We've got 350 coaches in that time. Yeah. Why do we think, even though we're training on EBF, why do we not see every youth player that's coming through the system right now looking like they follow EBF? And I know this is going to be a difficult question to answer because it comes down to the individual coaches and their ability to teach the material.
It's a very, very difficult question to answer without possibly offending people. And just by saying that may suggest that it's going to be critical of people. And it's not a criticism per se of individual coaches or coaches as a whole. It's because myself and a handful of other people, work full time or part time and offer lessons during the week, and so I've been very, very fortunate. It's been bloody hard at times. This is my job. Therefore, when everything's fully, I'm doing 30 hours a week. Some coaches don't do 30 hours a year.
Yeah.
And that's not a criticism. That's just a fact, because most coaches volunteer their time, thankfully, on Saturday mornings or Wednesday evenings or whenever it may be, to their YBC club. And they have very restricted time. So there may be 1 or 2 or 5 people, but there may be 6 or 7 or 10 kids per coach.
Yeah.
So the time that coaches have with players, even though they have the knowledge and probably, definitely the enthusiasm and the desire to help,
10 minutes a week
just don't have the time.
Yeah.
And it is purely that, which is why most players who have developed are the ones that essentially go to coaches that are, working in outside of the YBCs and offering their time, be it voluntarily or paid, whichever they want to do, but basically outside of that. And so in order for that to work, it's about the amount of exposure players get to their coaches and how much time they can practice. And if the only time you get on it is a Saturday morning and it's 5 minutes from, 5 minutes or 10 minutes and 5 minutes, now I'll be back round in a minute. Right? Half an hour later, you turn back up because you've gone around your 10 kids and you go back to number 1 kid. Yeah. They get another 5 minutes. Yeah. It doesn't actually really work, and it's very, very slow process. So that's predominantly why
I've experienced myself.
That's why we haven't seen the sort of, you don't see a sort of, everybody is suddenly brilliant. We have loads of coaches, but we don't have it. What we don't have is the time, or most of the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. So as you can see, we are currently in Ashby Bowl. You are more famously known for loitering at Shipley for the majority of your time. Why Ashby? What's going on in Ashby?
Ashby is, I see Ashby as what Shipley was 5-6 years ago, as a sort of a place where they want to do all the good things. They want to encourage, unlike at Shipley that had a bit more of an established league base. They have several leagues here, they're well attended, etc., etc. But they're at the start of maybe a period of time where they're able to or want to support the sport in terms of competitions. There was one here just this last weekend, or a couple of weekends ago.
It's quite a few youth tournaments.
Depending on when it's going out.
Yeah.
But they have quite a few tournaments here now. They have a good lane machine. They want to change the lane surface when finances allow. They're doing things around the centre. They want to promote it. So Ashby for me is somewhere that is the best place for me to be right now, and somewhere where I can make a base for a long time. Hopefully, we'll have lots of plans of what we're going to do here, and yeah, it's nearer Emily as well. Yeah, so that helps.
Camera lane number 1 for everyone else.
So, but no, it's Shipley. For me, Shipley's run its course. As brilliant as it's been, as brilliant as it was.
We've also developed a lot of coaches that now work a lot.
There's plenty of people at Shipley offering lessons. Yeah. So, you know, in a sense, I'm not so required, I suppose, and I want to establish something else and do something new and do something better. So
for all of those people that are in and around the Scunthorpe, Ashby, Lincoln area and further afield, if you do want to have some lessons with Mark, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Facebook or WhatsApp?
Facebook or WhatsApp.
Yeah.
We will put the WhatsApp bit. Yeah, we'll put his phone number down there.
Plug this, but you know.
Yeah, we'll put his phone number in the description, and that's his Facebook. It's down there as well. So yeah, go Mark Heathorn Coaching on Facebook, and then we'll put his phone number in the comments because that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Hello. I want some.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
No, maybe we won't do that. But yeah, Mark is in Ashby coaching pretty regularly. I'm here every Monday.
Potentially every day.
Yeah. So feel free to book and
During
get
the
some
week.
lessons. Thanks very much for joining us on the No Strings Attached podcast. We'll cut it there. Thanks very much. Goodbye.